often say the future is built in the classroom, but when the foundation is weak, the outcome is uncertain. Tonight, attention turns to growing concerns over Kenya's education system under the competence-based curriculum. As reforms reshape learning, questions persist about fairness, accessing and the rising costs to parents and students. Are these changes strengthening education or widening existing cracks? But first, the headlines. Classroom in crisis, Kenya's education future on the brink.
Each one, the company is telling us that the expectation on net profit is around 9.6, 9.7, so shy of 10 billion. If I look at that, and with a dividend policy that has been set at 50%.
Pipeline to profits, Kenya's giant's eyes hypo debut.
Makazi yetu ni hapa, tunaishi hapa, watoto wanasomea hapa, wakitugomolea wanataka aje.
This pressing crisis deepens Mukuru kwa jenga force to bulldozers. Welcome to the broadcast. I am and I am Boy Inyokabi. Kenya's education system is under renewed scrutiny as the government rolls out changes under the competence-based curriculum and school placement policy. Concerns are mounting over inequality, access, and rising costs. From overcrowded classrooms to students dropping out due to financial pressure, questions remain over whether the system is working for every child. Pius Kariuki reports.
On December 11th, 2025, Kenya unveiled first ever grade 9 KGCSE results under new system. Over 3/4 of candidates attained exceeding expectations and above expectation.
Administered what we call a qualifying test to 2,032 learners in grade 9. These are learners who are coming into the country from other systems. They could have come with their parents from other countries in the world.
This showed a lot of hope to the students and parents as they celebrated the results across the nation. But again, their joy was shut at a moment of silence when learners awaited for placement to join the senior secondary, that is grade 10. The exercise of placing the students into various schools became a challenge, with parents saying they cannot meet the high cost of education without support, even as the government maintains that day secondary education remains its responsibility. On 13th January, being a Monday, students started joining their respective schools which they had been placed, with the company of their families who are excited to take their children to another life chapter. But again, it wasn't a joy expression to every parent nor student, since over 800,000 learners were stuck at home. Many parents are now walking door to door, pleading for help to raise school fees, and others remains at home, paralyzed by uncertainty, unsure whether their children will continue their academic journey. Some learners, despite their determination, are forced to stay home, watching their peers move ahead, and others working tirelessly to raise funds for their school fees.
Sasa mimi nimeshangaa nitaenda vipi shule wakati wengine wameenda na mimi bado sijaenda.
Sasa kutoka shule ianze kufunguliwa sijaenda juu tumelemewa kwa pesa. Sasa nataka mwenye anajitokeza nisaidie.
These forced chiefs from various parts of the country to begin a mop-up exercise to get grade 10 learners to join senior schools before the expiry of the extended admission deadline.
Tuko na maofisi tofauti ambayo imejitolea kusaidia hawa watoto. Kama ukienda kwa Ministry of Education, tuko na hii elimu scholarship. Hapo mtoto mwenye ana school fees ama amelemewa atapata support.
Meet Martha Wanjiru, a bright student who earned admission to the prestigious Alliance Girls High School, now faces the heartbreaking possibility of missing out on her dream due to financial challenges.
Favorite subject is mathematics. Now I got exceeding expectation 1 because it's the main subject in my future career which is software engineering.
Nimekuwa niking'ang'ana hadi sasa vile naweza rudi hali ya kujikimu, but haijawezekana.
Her story highlights the wider struggle of many Kenyan families grappling with the rising cost of education.
This is not just a story about numbers. It is a dream deferred. The future of Kenya's education systems hangs in the balance. Pius Kariuki, KingsTV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Pius Kariuki, for the report. Kenya's energy sector is entering a new phase. The government has launched the Kenya Pipeline Company initial public offering, allowing private investors to own a stake in the strategic state corporation.
The IPO is expected to raise revenue, strengthen capital markets, and reduce public debt. However, it has sparked debate over the transparency, public participation, and energy security. Brenda has more.
And helping us build investment.
The government of Kenya has launched the partial privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Company, KPC, offering a majority stake to private investors to reshape the country's energy sector.
The company is telling us, and we already passed H1, the company is telling us that the expectation on net profit is around 9.6, 9.7, so shy of 10 billion. If I look at that, and with a dividend policy that has been set at 50%.
The initiative, led by the National Treasury on January 20th, seeks to sell 65% of KPC shares at 9 shillings each through an initial public offering IPO on the National Securities Exchange, allowing both local and international investors to participate.
Sitting with 16.2 billion in cash. 16.2 billion in cash and pretty much no debt, all right? Pretty much no debt, because the 3.3 liability that you're seeing reported in the accounts as borrowings is pretty much short-term, within the 12 months.
The sale is part of government plan to raise funds for infrastructure projects, reduce public debts, and deepen the nation's capital markets while broadening public ownership in a strategic national asset.
See you out of the PFM, out of the PPDA, out of SRC, out of cabinet memo, out of the budget process. So we strongly believe with that behind you, you would likely grow perhaps.
KPC, the state-owned firm responsible for transporting and storing petroleum products across Kenya, has been fully government-owned since its establishment. IPO marks the first time the public will have the opportunity to directly invest in the company. Applications are open online and via USSD. The government has appointed transaction advisors to ensure transparency, regulatory compliance, and smooth implementation of the sale.
Pipeline, if you need something to be approved, and this is not only pipeline, it's government sector. First, you do it as EXCO, you take it to the committee of the board, it goes to full board, and then now you write to request your parent ministry to consider it.
The privatization has, however, sparked legal and political debates. Courts have previously raised concerns over lack of public consultation. Civil society groups, labor unions, and some lawmakers have warned that selling a controlling stake could compromise energy securities. The government maintains that safeguards are in the place to protect strategic interests while promoting economic growth.
The Kenya Pipeline Company, KPC, moves towards partial privatization and political challenges. The big question is, will this landmark sale deliver what Kenyans expect? Reporting for Kings, my name is Brenda Keloti.
Residents of Mukuru Kwajenga in Embakasi South are counting process of after a demolition exercise turned chaotic, leaving homes and businesses destroyed.
The operation triggered violent clashes between residents and security officers, with reports of injuries and property damage as tension flared. Bernard Nzuki reports. Residents in Mukuru Kwajenga in Embakasi South counted losses after a demolition exercise sparked chaos and violent confrontations. The demolitions, which began on Tuesday morning when the security officers were accompanied by the bulldozers into the informal settlement targeting structures allegedly built on road reserve. Hundreds of residents, including women and children, were forced to flee as the houses were pulled down, triggering protests that quickly escalated into running battles between police and locals.
Shule ni hapa, makazi yetu ni hapa, tunaishi hapa, watoto wanasomea hapa, wakitugomolea wanataka aje.
Saa hii tumetapika kuanzia last week Sunday mpaka leo hatujai kufanya kazi.
Police responded by firing tear gas to disperse demonstrators who had blocked roads and demanded answers from authorities. According to government officials, the demolitions was part of road expansion project aimed at improving infrastructure and easing traffic congestion in the area. However, residents and human rights groups said that the exercise was carried out without adequate notice, consultation and alternative settlement plans, leaving many families homeless.
Zenye zimekuja saa hii, mimi na shida zimetoka wapi hatujafahamishwa, na inafaa zote vile tulisema kama viongozi wote wa vitengo zote tatu tukue hapo barabara zikianzishwa.
Tumepatia DCC hiyo kotoda ambayo inasema ya kwamba wasimamishe wasimamishe, hakuna mambo ya extension, hakuna mambo ya expansion ya barabara. Hasa nakuja kubomolea wananchi kwa kijiji, ni makosa sana.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has since turned the demolition illegal and inhuman, ordering an immediate halt to the operation and calling for dialogue between all parties involved.
Spoken to the DG of Kura, he says he is not part of that. So as an institution, the county government has not cleared any plan, and these people have been living in this distress for too many years.
As calm slowly returns to Mukuru Kwajenga, affected residents are appealing for humanitarian assistance and a clear plan to prevent further evictions. Reporting for KingsTV, Ben Nzuki.
Tensions are rising within the Orange Democratic Movement amid accusation of intolerance toward dissenting voices. Winnie Odinga and Raila Odinga Jr. have accused section of the party leadership of undermining internal democracy.
Winnie Odinga warned against targeting young party members, saying such actions threaten the party's democratic values and future legitimacy. Wambo Nyokabi with more.
The simmering power within the Orange Democratic Movement ODM took a dramatic turn on Sunday 18th after Winnie Odinga and her brother Raila Odinga Jr. publicly weighed on the dispute, warning against what they termed attempts to evict dissenting voices from the party.
Long live! Long live Baba! Long live!
Speaking during public engagements in Nairobi Kibra constituency, the two accused a section of ODM leaders for targeting younger party figures, specifically referencing Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and Embakasi East MP Babu Owino. The siblings said such moves threaten the parts of the democratic ethos and legacy.
Wametusukuma sisi kama abiria, wametusukuma kama magunia, tuko nyuma. Wamesahau, na vile tunasema hapa leo, ngojeni, baba alikufa juzi tu, tulieni, haraka ya nini bwana? Wache tuongee kwanza, simamisha hii basi kwanza, wache tuongee, tuamue, tusonge mbele pamoja.
In the first major political appearance in Kibra since the death of her father, ODM leader Raila Odinga, the East African Legislative Assembly, Yara MP, addressed a charged rally at Kamukunji grounds, vowing to remain firmly within the party. Winnie also accused unnamed individuals for exploiting the period following her father's death to advance narrow political interests. She described them as opportunists and insisted that ODM could not be reduced to personal or commercial interests.
Sisi ni watu tuliokuja kwenye hii chama, we believed in what Baba was teaching us. Na sasa tunaona si kila mtu miongoni mwetu who believed in Baba. Wengine walikuwa wakimtumia tu. Wamesahau kazi ya uongozi. ama wamesahau vile hii chama ilianza.
Raila Odinga Jr. echoed her remarks, stressing that freedom of expression must be upheld within the party and rejecting any attempts to expel members over differing views.
Division within Orange Democratic Movement are coming into focus as Winnie Odinga and Raila Odinga Jr. warn against attempt to silence the dissenting voices in the party. Wamboi Nyokabi reporting for Kings TV.
We will take our first commercial break. We will be right back.
Petans Technical College is a technical college that trains hands-on skills in courses such as hotel and catering, making you an expert in 4-star and 5-star hotels, automotive engineering, where we train with modern vehicles. We offer training in electrical installation and plumbing, as well as CCTV camera installation. Travel the world through our certified assistant caregiver course. Enroll with us today on our Facebook page or visit us at Kiambu, Petans Plaza, and in all our branches. Call us today on 0707-490-390.
And welcome back.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has urged ODM to cut ties with UDA and return to the opposition. Speaking in Murang'a, Kalonzo warned that ODM risks abandoning its core values by aligning with the government.
DAP leader Eugene Wamalwa echoed the call, urging opposition unity ahead of the 2027 general election. David Njenga reports.
Will ODM compromise its principle by joining forces with UDA? That is the question on everyone's lips after Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka urged the All Democratic Movement to abandon talks with the United Democratic Alliance and join the united opposition instead. Speaking in Murang'a County, Kalonzo emphasized that ODM and UDA don't share a common vision, citing President William Ruto's post criticisms of Raila Odinga. If ODM join UDA, they should be honest about abandoning Raila's visions, he said, warning that such a move would weaken the opposition.
Walikuwa wakiita Raila mtu wa vitendawili, mganga, mchawi. Hawa wana common vision kweli? Kwa hivyo they want to discuss, and the last time I checked, ingawaje DAP walikuwa wamepeana resolution na kutoka Azimio, Wiper Patriotic Front, we didn't do it. Yes. Because we knew kwamba tumekuwa na Raila miaka 15.
The remarks comes as UDA and ODM gear up for structured talks ahead of 2027, with ODM Oburu Oginga leading the party's negotiation team. Kalonzo urged ODM to prioritize unity and share reform goals, saying the opposition should unite like-minded leaders before setting on a presidential candidate.
Then the first point of call should be united opposition.
Same thing to Eugene Wamalwa, DAP party leader, saying ODM is trying to join the UDA government instead of continuing with the opposition. He added that ODM is now tied to the Kenya Kwanza government and cannot separate from this political alliance, especially since some of its leaders have been given government positions.
Nataka niulize wana ODM, between huyu Kalonzo na Kasongo, who had shared values na Raila Odinga? Kalonzo. Yes. Inakuwaje sasa hao waseme eti wanataka waache Kalonzo aliyekuwa na baba for 15 years?
Wamalwa criticized ODM decision to join UDA, calling it a betrayal of the people. He said ODM should join the united opposition to fight for the rights of citizens. Kalonzo downplayed speculation he is the united opposition flag bearer, saying no discussion have happened. The political landscape is heating up as the parties position themselves for 2027.
Tensions are running high as the political leaders debate the potential alliance between UDA and ODM. Kalonzo Musyoka, a Wiper leader, is urging ODM to dump UDA talks and join the opposition. But the question remains, will ODM listen his will? Reporting for KingsTV, my name is Jenga Ndono.
President William Ruto has launched a 258.4 million Kenya shillings Youth Empowerment Fund in Nairobi. The initiative targets over 10,000 young entrepreneurs in Nairobi, Kiambu and Kajiado counties, with each to receive 25,000 Kenya shillings in startup capital.
The president emphasized digital jobs and financial inclusion. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki described the program as a major setup toward economic independence. Frida Kaiga has details.
President William Ruto presides over the disbursement of 258.4 million Kenya shillings under the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement Nyota Business Support Program at Moi International Sports Center in Kasarani on 19th January.
Tuko tayari? Tuko tayari?
The funds are set to benefit 10,337 youths from Nairobi, Kiambu, and Kajiado County, each getting an initial business startup capital of 25,000 Kenya shillings to expand their businesses.
Tutaambatana na wewe, tujue hiyo biashara yako inaendelea namna gani. Tutakusaidia namna gani? Kama iko na matatizo, tutakusaidia kurekebisha namna gani? Mpaka biashara yako ifaulu, ndio tuachane na wewe.
Of the 25,000 Kenya shillings, 22,000 Kenya shillings will be credited directly to each beneficiary's Pochi la Biashara accounts, while the remaining 3,000 Kenya shillings will be deposited in the Yahaba Nahaba Savings Account, which is managed by the National Social Security Fund, NSSF.
Sasa hapo kwa mtandao, sasa ngojea pesa. Pesa inakuja hapo, na wakati tunangojea pesa ifike kwa simu yako.
President Ruto supported that the government is focused on empowering the Kenyan youths through enhancing enrollment of digital jobs. In addition, he asked the youth to take advantage of the government's commitment to uplift their lives through initiatives that have direct impact on their lives. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki praised President Ruto for the Nyota program, noting that it is focused on empowering the youth venturing into entrepreneurship. In addition, the initiatives is impacting the lives of many youths, vowing his support for the head of state ambitious plans.
The Nyota program is equipped for supporting young people with capital and long-term support to address unemployment and support entrepreneurship. Reporting for KingsTV, Frida Kahiga.
Thank you, Kahiga. Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro has won Kenya's good rules billions in the proposed sales for Safaricom shares. He told the parliamentary committee that failure to use competitive international bidding could cost the country heavily.
Nyoro criticized the government's approach, citing concerns over transparency, value for money, licensing, and pricing. Jacqueline Wanjiru reports.
On 20th January, the partial sales of Safaricom shares took a new turn after Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro told the Joint Committee on Finance and Privatization that the country stands to lose billions of shillings by not using a competitive international binding process in the investment.
We'll just cut corners, take government assets for free, and purport to be the only buyers in the market. Who said there is the only buyer?
The Kiharu legislature, who urged the parliament monitors others not to adopt the government proposed process, blamed the Communication Authority, which is not yet proven, initiating an 80 billion shillings loss through different opinion among people agreement on the renewal of licenses, the conditional precedent to the transactions.
What role are they playing for them to be paid 40% of the 3 billion?
MP Nyoro, while delivering his opinion, told the parliamentary monitors that the country would have benefited more an exercise subjected to an international competitive binding process.
We should not be discussing anything below 45 per share. But we've been cornered by these guys. We are now gasping for breath on the side of the
billion Safaricom shares being traded to Vodafone should retail at 45 shillings per share and not at 34 shillings per share. Other than Kiharu MP, other stakeholders who submitted their memorandum included CBK Governor Kamau Duge.
Parliament is now questioning the government's Safaricom share sales after the warning of under violation. Member of Parliament of Kiharu constituency, Ndindi Nyoro, says taxpayers may lose billions of money if the process still goes on unchanged. Reporting from KingsTV, my name is Quilin Wanjiru.
Kenya Kwanza readers have accused former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of fueling political division in the Mount Kenya region. They say he has shifted focus from development to politics.
Speaking in Igembe South, the leaders dismissed claims of regional exclusion, insisting the government remains committed to the development nationwide. Ruth Kamau reports.
Senior Kenya Kwanza leaders on Sunday launched a sharp attack against former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, accusing him of promoting division and personal politics instead of supporting the government's development agenda. Speaking during a church service at Kanuni New Life Church in Igembe South Constituency, Meru County, the leaders defended President William Ruto's administration and his dismissed claims that the government had sidelined the Mount Kenya region.
Kuna watu wanakuja kuwadanganya huku ati museme one term. Na watu, they have organized a threat against government, against anybody who is supporting president.
The service was attended by a Water Irrigation Cabinet Secretary Eric Muga, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku, Igembe South MP John Murigi, Igembe Central MP Dan Kiili, and MP Mpuru Aburi. Igembe South MP John Paul said he remained firmly behind Ruto, noting that the head of state had honored development promises made to his constituents. Kiili further warned that divisive politics would not benefit residents, insisting that leaders from the Mount Kenya region should work with the national government to secure development. Public Service CS Geoffrey Ruku accused Gachagua of fueling hatred against leaders who support President Ruto, saying personal grievance should not be turned into community issues.
Also, Igembe Central Dan Kiili took a more direct swipe to Gachagua, accusing him for misleading leaders and residents under the guise of regional unity. Reporting for KingsTV, my name is Ruth Kamau.
The United Democratic Alliance is expanding its political reach ahead of the 2027 elections.
Speaking at Sagana State Launch in Nyeri, President Ruto said Kenyans will work together to ensure inclusivity under the broad-based government. Potentia Ndiu reports.
The UDA party is nurturing friendship and collaboration with other political parties to form a strong and intensive political outfit ahead of 2027 general election. President William Ruto said under the broad-based government, Kenyans are working together to ensuring that no one is left behind.
UDA sasa tutaenda kuketi chini na chama ya ODM, tupangane, haya kujeni hapa, tupange, tutengeneze serikali, Kenya isonge mbele. Kwani shida iko wapi?
For a long time, the bigger challenge in Kenya has been sharing the small cake we now have a strategy to break a bigger cake for everybody to share, he said. President Ruto was speaking when he hosted over 17,000 UDA grassroots leaders from Nyeri County at Sagana State Lodge, Nyeri on Saturday.
Kwa sababu tuko na mpango ya kutosha. Shida ya Kenya kwa muda mrefu ni sharing the small cake we have. We now have a strategy on how to bake a bigger cake where everybody is going to share.
These polling centers officials were elected last week. Governors Mutahi Kahiga, who is a governor of Nyeri, and Cecile Mbarere, who is a governor of Embu, and MPs led by National Assembly Majority Leaders Kimani Ichung'wah were present. He also said that the Mau Mau roads were at 20% competition where he took office in 2022, but explained that now they have progressed to between 60 and 70% and on course to be completed later this year.
Leo tuko na serikali ya broad based. Hakuna kitu wa mlima watu wa mlima wamepoteza. Barabara ya Nyeri itajengwa. Barabara ya Kisumu itajengwa. Barabara ya Mombasa itajengwa.
MP Ishongwa said Mount Kenya region identifies with UDA because it is a national political committee to bring all Kenyans together.
Because it is only through a national political party like UDA, Your Excellency, that will not only guarantee and to underwrite the development that we are rolling out across our nation. Governor
Mbarile commended women leaders in UDA for coming out to seek leadership position, pointing out that 36.5% of elected officials were women. Reporting for KingsTV, Hortensia Mbiu.
We will take another commercial break. We will be right back with business news.
And welcome back.
Kenya Revenue Authority has recorded a historic performance, collecting 307 billion Kenya shillings in December, surpassing its 285 billion target.
This marks a 29% increase as compared to the same period last year, driven by strong domestic collections, oil taxes, and non-oil imports. Here is more.
The Kenya Revenue Authority KRA collected more revenue than expected, showing strong growth at the start of the second half of the 2025-2026 financial year. In addition, the tax agencies reported their highest monthly customs revenue on record, primarily driven by oil and non-oil import duties. In December, KRA collected 307.6 billion Kenyan shillings against a target of 285 billion Kenyan shillings, making a 29% increase compared with the same period in the previous financial year. It has also reported strong revenue performance, with the public money revenue reaching up to 284.3 billion Kenyan shillings, surpassing the 261.8 billion Kenyan shillings target and registering 30% year-on-year growth. Customs and Borders Control collected 85.9 billion Kenyan shillings, exceeding its targets and recording revenue in KRA's history. This performance was driven by growth in both oil and non-oil import taxes. Domestic taxes also beat target, rising to 221.3 billion Kenyan shillings, which is 31% increase compared to December the year 2025. KRA set a 2.97 trillion Kenyan shillings revenue target for the financial year 2026, up to 2.57 trillion, requiring a growth of 15%. Reporting for KingsTV, my name is Jane Kethi.
Welcome to the sports desk with our sports reporter Felix Mbogo.
Bandari FC assistant coach Lazak Siwa believes the Dockers have reignited the Kenyan Premier League title ambition following a 2-1 away win against Tusker FC last weekend. The Mombasa-based side currently sit 10th on Kenya Premier League table with 23 points from 16 matches, 10 points adrift of Readers Gor Mahia. Now looking to other sports stories, City were shocked in Norway as they lost 3-1 to Bournemouth. The players have even offered to refund the price of a ticket. Such was the performance elsewhere. Arsenal eased to a 3-1 win over Inter Milan at the San Siro to remain top of the league phase table. Tottenham beat Borussia Dortmund 2-0 at home to move up to ease pressure on boss Thomas Frank in the process. On Wednesday, Chelsea left it late to beat Pafos on home turf but did eventually get the job done. Newcastle and Liverpool enjoyed more comfortable evenings as they breezed past PSV and Marseille respectively. Aston Villa claimed an impressive 1-0 win at Fenerbahce in the Europa League on Thursday night, while Nottingham Forest fell to a 1-0 defeat at Portuguese side Braga, a disappointing loss compounded by Elliot Ederson's late red card. From the sports desk, my name is Felix Bogo.
And that marks the end of our tonight news. Thank you for watching.
For more updates, follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook KingsTV, YouTube Kings Fraternity, and TikTok KingsTV_13. I am Omboni Nukabi.
And I am Bernard Nzuki.
Have a good night.